It turns out the Bible already presents a 2-day weekend. Today's focus, cleansing themselves during the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Fine Foods, 7 minutes a day, 1 Bible a year. Grace and peace, everyone. Today, our reading brings us to Numbers, chapters 25 to 28. Our key verse is, "On the first day and the seventh day hold a sacred assembly and do no regular work." Numbers 28. This refers to the Feast of Unleavened Bread, also called the Festival of Matzah. Among Israel's 7 feasts of the Lord, Pass, Unleavened, First, Pent, Trump, Aten, Tab. The order is the Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Festival of First Fruits, the Festival of Weeks, or Pentecost in Greek, the Feast of Trumpets, the Day of Atonement, and the Feast of Tabernacles. There is a 1-day Passover and a 7-day Feast of Unleavened Bread, and they are connected. Right after Passover comes the Feast of Unleavened Bread. The relationship between Passover and unleavened bread is that of justification and sanctification. Because at Passover we are saved, we ourselves did nothing. Our salvation is God's free gift to us. Therefore, we are justified. And the meaning set for the Feast of Unleavened Bread is sanctification, the process of being made holy and living out God's righteousness. This is the symbolic meaning of this feast. And in the tabernacle and the temple, when we enter, the altar comes first, and then the basin for washing. This is different from what we might naturally think. Our first thought is to bathe and change clothes first, and then come before God. Yes, washing and changing are also good. When the Israelite scribes copied the scriptures, they would wash their hands thoroughly. That is good. But in the heavenly sense, we are first justified, first cleansed. That is, we first encounter the altar. Jesus Christ himself cleanses us with his precious blood. Then we come to the bronze basin, which washes our hands and feet clean. When the priests present sacrifices, they performed cleansing rituals. These acts carried both visible and invisible meanings. We'll look at them in a moment. What was involved in the Feast of Unleavened Bread? During the feast, there are sacrifices, a sacred assembly, and rest. A sacred assembly is a gathering set apart for God, and we are to rest. No regular work is to be done. Modern Jews can be kind of cute in a way. On the Sabbath, you'll see elevators with all the buttons pressed because they don't want to reach out and press the elevator button themselves. We need to look at what the biblical text actually says. Do no regular work. So people often, just to be safe, add a bit here and a bit there. As a result, they can end up losing the true meaning represented by the feast. God wants us to rest, to worship him, and to enjoy what he has created, to enjoy the blessings he has given us. The book of Numbers is about a generation wandering and the rise of the next. Today's reading brings us to the passage between the bronze snake and the second census. Let's look at the scripture. Passover plus the 7 days of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. On the 14th day of the first month, the Lord's Passover is to be held. On the 15th day of this month, there is to be a festival. For 7 days, eat bread made without yeast. On the first day, hold a sacred assembly and do no regular work. In this way, present the food offering every day for 7 days as an aroma pleasing to the Lord. It is to be offered in addition to the regular burnt offering and its drink offering. On the 7th day, hold a sacred assembly and do no regular work. Numbers 28. The earlier subheading mentioned that the Bible already presents a 2-day weekend. Today, many places have a 2-day weekend. Rest means not working, not doing regular work. It allows us to draw near to God and to spend time with family. This is a very important meaning of rest. God is the source of our life. We are not like phones that recharge only after the battery runs out. Rather, we recharge first and then use the power. Therefore, during rest, our spirits are to be filled with God's life, worshiping him drawing near to him, spending time with our own families, and gathering with brothers and sisters in sacred assembly. That's why it is mentioned here. The first day and the seventh day are for rest. So what is done in between? It is to present the food offering as an aroma pleasing to the Lord, that is, to offer sacrifice. This sacrifice is special. It is in addition to the regular burnt offering and its drink offering. The burnt offering and drink offering are the standard offerings. And when we see this drink offering, it represents using wine, pouring the wine over the burnt offering or the grain offering. So during the Feast of Unleavened Bread, an additional food offering as a pleasing aroma is presented to God. When we say we worship God, when we gather, we are presenting gifts to the Lord, both visible and invisible. In fact, the visible is meant to represent the invisible, our very hearts. Your hug with your Father, that is visible. The love between you and your Father, this is invisible. And on the right image, we see that the tabernacle was oriented with its entrance facing east. When entering through the entrance, the first thing encountered is the altar, then the bronze basin, and only afterward does one enter the holy place and the most holy place. During the appointed feast, even on the days designated for rest, the priests were at their busiest. As for the offerings brought forward, apart from the whole burnt offering, which was given entirely to God, most went to the priests, while certain portions could be shared with family and friends. Do no regular work. No ordinary work is to be done. Then our hearts can be still, can be at rest. We are not to think about work. We are to rest, to settle our hearts, and to fix our eyes on God. A sacred assembly is a gathering set apart for God, and it is connected to resting from regular work. He says, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth." Psalms 46. When we are still, at rest, doing no regular work, there is a vital point to know that the Lord is God. Not only for the Israelites, but also among the nations, throughout all the earth, he is to be exalted. Think about it. If we ourselves do not exalt him, if we ourselves do not worship him, then how will the nations ever worship him? Many people may face a dilemma. Should I go to the gathering, or should I accommodate my family? We need to consider this. If you keep accommodating your family, setting aside illness or other genuine needs, we're speaking generally. If you keep skipping the gathering, your life will have no light. In the long run, your family will not exalt the Lord either. Just as it is said here, he will be exalted among the nations. Because we are spiritual Israelites, we ourselves must first honor him, worship him, and through that, our relatives and friends around us can also be influenced, see the change in us, and join in honoring him. So it is among the nations in the earth. That is why the sacred assembly is connected to resting from regular work. They are to wear linen turbans on their heads and linen undergarments around their waists. They must not wear anything that makes them perspire. Ezekiel 44. In the book of Ezekiel, after Solomon's temple was destroyed, the prophecy looks ahead to what the priests are to do once the future temple is rebuilt. They were to wear linen turbans, because linen is more breathable and does not cause their bodies to perspire or sweat. Why does it point this out? Because sweating is the sign of manual labor. Though the priests had much work to do when offering sacrifices, the spiritual meaning here is that they must not cause their bodies to sweat. We are all part of the priesthood of believers. When we serve God, we should not feel as if we are reluctantly burning ourselves out to light up others. If you have that feeling, you need to make an adjustment. I know your heart is in the right place, but strictly speaking, that is not how it is. We are vessels. It is Jesus who burns. This treasure, Jesus, contained in our jars of clay, displays that surpassing greatness of power. If you try to burn yourself out, you will be very limited, and you may even feel resentful. Instead, it is Jesus who burns, God's truth, God's life, God's blessing, God's power, displaying that all-surpassing power in our lives. We are merely the vessels. Therefore, serving should not be so burdensome that it makes us sweat. I hope you can understand what I mean. In my 20-plus years of serving the Lord, this has become a crucial point for me. Because serving God is a lifelong calling, it is not service for a moment. A person is filled with genuine joy. There is no need to strain to the point of sweating. It is not a lack of effort. We give our all. Yet, the more we serve, the more God's power is added. This is the spiritual meaning behind resting from regular work in sacred assembly and priests not causing their bodies to sweat. I hope each of us can grasp and live out this understanding. Reading Guide to Numbers. The book of Numbers is about a generation wandering and the rise of the next set in the Mosaic age. Chapter 25, Baal of Peor, Idolatry and Sexual Immorality. Baal was a Canaanite male idol. Asherah was female. Whether it's called Baal of Peor, or any other Baal, it essentially refers to the same thing. Let's recall earlier, Balaam could not curse Israel, so he devised a scheme. He had the Moabite women entice the Israelites into sexual immorality. This immorality carries a spiritual meaning because it was both earthly and heavenly unfaithfulness, a union with Baal of Peor. When Israel worshipped idols, it was spiritual adultery. And there were shrine prostitutes in the temples of idols. Thus it was both spiritual and physical adultery. This is a point we should reflect on. Balaam could not curse Israel, but he could entice the Israelites to sin on their own. The enemy prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. This enemy, the devil, cannot attack us directly. Rather, we become the ones who can be devoured. For example, if we turn to idolatry, depart from God, stop gathering for a long time, or fall into similar conditions, these are what open the door to the enemy's attack. Chapter 26, the second census. Earlier, it was mentioned that the two census counts were roughly the same. During the wilderness journey, though there was preservation, it cannot be said that it was a season of great blessing. The land of Canaan is where the great blessing is found. Chapter 27. Joshua was anointed as the successor. Chapter 28. Offerings presented at the appointed times. Today's focus: cleansing themselves during the feast of unleavened bread. On the first day and the seventh day you shall rest and do no regular work. The Passover is salvation and justification. The feast of unleavened bread is sanctification and living out righteousness. There shall be a sacred assembly with offerings and rest. Reflect on the meaning of the feasts and enjoy the blessing God has given. Blessed is the one whose delight is in the law of the Lord, and who meditates on his law day and night. Fine food, 7 minutes. See you tomorrow.